Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about The Bluff, the 2026 Amazon Prime movie. So this movie it came out in February 25th, 2026. I assumed it recently came out, but wow, I guess it came out all those months ago, and I just completely forgot about it. Originally, when I saw the trailer for this, wow, all the way back in February, I wasn't really thrilled. And I'm just kind of like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it seemed okay, but like, the action, it started to feel a little bit like MCU Black Widow-ish and everything. And I'm just kind of like, I don't really want to see that in a period piece, with pirates and stuff. If this is how she's gonna fight, but that's mostly just in the trailer. She does fight like differently a bit here and there. And so recently, and very recently, because I just watched this movie, but very recently I also watched Citadel season 2 after I told myself I was not gonna watch it because I didn't like season 1. But then I decided to watch the trailer and I ended up liking season 2 of like Citadel, which more on that later this month. So I'm all like, let me re-watch the trailer for The Bluff. Because, it stars that of Carl Urban and that of Priyanka Chopra, Jonas and everything. And, I like both of those two as an actor and everything and an actress. So I'm all like, maybe I should just like check this out. You know what I'm saying? Like give it a try and everything. I have to say, I was pretty thrilled. Like the action is like amazing and everything. Sorry about that, I had to cough. But the action is like really good and stuff. But everything else, it needs more. That's really all this movie is. It's a generic action movie. It's a streaming movie. I mean, I've really got to stop watching streaming movies because it's like they don't really deliver, you know what I'm saying? But like when in terms of like depth, character growth, development, and actual real story, they really lack in that like area and stuff. But they tend to make up for it in like action and stuff. I mean, that's the thing about streaming movies. They get these big names, especially if they work for like a studio before, and then they make these action movies with little to no character development or depth. But all in all, it's just a fun movie to watch. You know what I'm saying? Now, the movie was directed by Frank E. Flowers, and he also wrote some of it, but also along with that of Joe Ballarini. And this was actually produced by the Russo brothers and stuff. And they've worked with Priyanka before. And so, like, so that kind of explains why the action looks the way it does. They're probably trying to mimic that Russo brothers style, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, if you're thinking which is probably better or if this is similar to the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, pirate movies are way better. Even the worst pirate movies is better in terms of an actual story and everything and character development. And like I said before, this is what this movie lacks. This movie is basically just straightforward. What you see is what you get and everything. But the action is brutal. Blood everywhere. Stabbing, slicing, splatter, like you name it and stuff, And I like that. I like how gritty they went with the action. But I would have loved an actual story. So this is one of those things that where if you're ever just bored and you just want to watch something like a lot of head banging, action type stuff, this is it. But if you're looking for something with more depth to it, then you're not gonna get that, sadly. And so So this movie basically starts off with two pirate ships, and one is led by Captain Francesco Connor, and he's played by Carl Urban. And so um there's another one by Captain Theodore Bolden. At least I think he was a captain. And so he gets captured. And the thing about this is that Captain Connor wants his gold back. And the gold, Theodore left with that of his wife, sister, and that of their kid. Now, Priyanka plays Ursel, and she is married to that of Theodore. And so she has to deal with everything, keeping they live on an island. So she has to do the hunting, the cooking, this and that, and trying to keep an eye on her promiscuous sister-in-law, which at first I didn't even know that was the sister-in-law, because of the simple fact she's biracial with black, and Ursul's son is biracial and black. So I thought they was brother sister. But I'm all like, why she keep calling her mom by her first name and then calling her sister? So I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. You know what I'm saying? And so at night they get attacked by pirates. Now, one of the things I really appreciated about this movie is that since it's set in the Caribbean, the first two pirates that go on the attack are black, and then in the first half of the movie there's a bunch of black pirates and stuff, and of course Theodore is black himself, and Ursel is Indian in this movie. And I appreciated that because of the simple fact, during this period in time, there were tons and tons and tons of former black slaves who were pirates. And most of them were runaway slaves and everything, and they just sailed the seven seas with the pirates and stuff. And this is something you never hear about, because if you watch those Pirates of the Caribbean movies, they never talk about this because cultural stuff wasn't relevant back then. You know what I'm saying? And I remember when the Black Little Mermaid movie came out, so many white people threw their hands up in the air and screamed woke and everything, talking about why she has to be black and blah, 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 blah. And if you know your history, the Caribbean has tons of black folks in it and stuff. So it made perfect sense for there to be a black mermaid, since that's based off of that culture and stuff. But of course, the book that was written centuries ago featured that of a white girl because a white person wrote it. And of course, Disney made a white movie because they're Disney. You know what I'm saying? And as for that of Ursel, played by Priyanka, what a lot of people don't understand also is that, a lot of these colonial people and pirate people, they sailed to the East Indies and everything. Remember, that was Columbus was looking for at first, and he was going to make it into America and everything. But then he ended up here. And then that's when they called the Native American people Indian people, because he thought he was in the East Indies and stuff. And so, we see with her, she was taken as a child, branded, but then she later became a pirate herself. So that was cool to see, but they really didn't do too much of an explanation for the black pirates. They just show, what's her name again, branded and this and that. But they really didn't go into no detail, and I would have appreciated some detail because a lot of people don't know about this and stuff. And so After she kills, like, those two pirates and stuff, she goes looking for that of her sister. And she's trying to get her son out the house because she realizes what's going on. But we don't know why she knows what's going on because there's a twist in the movie. Now, her son, he is sure something's wrong with one of his legs and he has to be in a wheelchair. But he's able to guide himself through ropes through the house and stuff like that. She finds this pastor dude and she gets her son on out of there. But then she goes looking for like her sister. Her sister was looking for like her boyfriend, and then she sees the pirates, and then she found her dead boyfriend hiding amongst the people and trying to get back home, as the pirates have landed into town and started killing people left and right. And on the island, there's tons of black people because they're in the Caribbean. And so, like, eventually she finds her sister and then she finds the pastor with the son. And they try to cross, like, this river that has a giant alligator in it and this tiny little canoe bowl type thing. And so, like, the pirates, they meet up with her, but they're able to cross. But the pastor dude is unable to cross. And so he just sacrifices himself. Turns out the pastor knows who this Captain Connor is because the pastor used to be a pirate. And so Connor ends up killing the pastor. Now, I wish there was more explanation as to why this pastor used to be a pirate and what changed him and everything. Like I said before, there is no character development or depth within this movie. So that is something that really needed to be explained because that's fascinating and everything. And because they showed the glimpse of like the alligator, we all knew what was coming when those pirates started to swim through the river and everything. They got tore up. Only for Connor to shoot the gator in the head. And so like Ursula takes her family to a bluff. And there she has tons of weapons stored and all the gold that Connor is looking for. Well, her family is just kind of confused as to where all this stuff came from. And the twist turns out that Ursula used to be a pirate. After she was branded and taken to Connor's ship, her and Connor became lovers. Then eventually she fell in love with Theodore, stole the gold, and fled to the island and everything. But the even bigger twist is that she is an expert at fighting and killing people. In fact, her nickname was Captain Bloody Mary. And she would kill by like the dozens and stuff, which is why she's so good in fighting off all these male pirates. It's quickly explained, but at least they explain that. It would have been extremely nice to have some more depth and character growth within her as to what changed her exactly. What was it like being a pirate, the lust of it all. Her family just seems to like accept it for what it is and not scared of her and stuff. And this is where the movie needed some heart, some depth, something, some oomph, you know what I'm saying? But it's just a straightforward action movie with her taking out pirates left and right. And so, like, trying to think. And so, one thing that does bug me about the Ursula character, other than the depth and all this other stuff, is that okay? She's Indian from like India and everything, but you don't see that reflected nowhere in her character. Not in her clothes, no artifacts in the home, not her weapons, not her fighting style, like none of that stuff. And it would have been neat to see something, you know what I'm saying? But of course, we're going back to old school Hollywood where they don't want to show all that culture and stuff because a certain group of people cry and whine and talking about, you're just trying to make us feel guilty and everything. We don't see no white people in this movie. And those people and everything. And so we get robbed of like culture and like information and knowledge, you know what I'm saying? And so like Connor, there's a twist with him. He has been telling his crew he wants the gold, but that's not true. Because when they do find some of the gold, he doesn't care for it and just wants her head. He's pissed and hates her because she stabbed him when she fled from him. And then, of course, it turns out that there's another twist that there's a bounty on her head. Anybody that brings her in, dead or alive, gets like immunity and everything. So him and his entire crew, all their bad deeds will be washed away. So he's all like, that's way better than gold. Now, the dude who played Boba Fett in the like Star Wars prequels and stuff, what's that dude's name? I can't even begin to pronounce his name. Um, I can't even pronounce it. He's the quartermaster named Lee. And his son ended up dying in the movie by Ursel, and he got pissed off at Connor. And when Connor told him to stand down and he didn't, he got killed. Now, here's the problem: no depth, no character growth. I didn't even know he had a son that was aboard that pirate ship. They never made that apparent until the dude died. This is where movies lack, and they need more structure and better writing. Anyways, so she's trying to get them to the top of like the cliff so they can signal the British Navy. Because of course, if you're a pirate, the British Navy will capture you or kill you. And so like she kills all the pirates except for like Connor, and he's the one who sent off the flare to the British Navy, telling her, hey look, it don't matter. I'm gonna get my immunity and everything, and you're gonna be rotting in jail, or I'm gonna run you through one way or another. So they fight. She kills him, and like by that time, she had also got her son like away on a boat, and the sister tried to help the fight. Turns out half of the gold is inside the bluff and the rest of it's inside that of the boat. She just hid all of it. Oh, and they been killed her husband and everything halfway in the movie. So, like I said before, it's a pretty cool movie in terms of action, but that's the only thing you're really gonna get. This movie would never have been able to compete with like that of a theatrical movie because there's no plot really other than looking for the gold and fighting pirates and stuff. And it needed something. It needed a heck of a lot more. But, you know, like I said before, if you're bored and you just want to watch something, here you go. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.